Hey guys, this is now episode 8 of the Chile Ride series here on the Spanish Dojo channel, which documents my cousins and my motorcycle adventure across the country of Chile in January of 2020. If you haven't done so yet, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Remember that this series is available in both English and Spanish, so if you prefer, solo haz clic aquí arriba para ver este episodio en español. The last installment took place entirely within a portion of the Aysén region. In this episode, although we will push a little farther into this region, we won't actually finish riding the whole thing, as this marks the point in our journey where we had to cross over into the country of Argentina. If you're not quite sure where that is, it's the country that borders Chile directly to the east. Argentina is divided into provinces rather than regions, and right after crossing the border, we'll skirt the southern end of the Chubut province and then spend the rest of the episode riding well into the Santa Cruz province. Despite being in a different country, the broad label of Patagonia also applies on the Argentine side of the border. However, you will notice a stark contrast in the landscape, as Argentine Patagonia is a lot more open, with fewer mountains, a much drier climate, and very strong winds. When we left off last episode, it was January 20th, and we had to decide whether we would take Route 7 or X50, for reasons explained previously. We ultimately opted for Route 7. We knew it was gravel, but decided that the devil we knew was better than the devil we didn't know, and that, as the main highway, it stood a better chance of being the more favorable option overall. Well, we were wrong. To our chagrin, of the 38-mile stretch between that junction and the city of Coyhaique, 32 miles ended up being entirely gravel. And most of it was that high-piled loose gravel, of course. Here we're crossing the Rio Emperador Guillermo, or Emperor William River, so the home stretch of our day would prove to be rather grueling and precarious, but again, the scenery was amazing, so we decided to just enjoy the road as it unfolded before us. As I mentioned, the last 6-mile stretch descending to Coyhaique was actually paved, so that was a treat to finish out the day. Once we made it to town, we found a grocery store where we stocked up for the night, and a small, inexpensive campground where we could put up our tent. My face was filthy from the many stretches of dust and gravel we had encountered throughout the course of the day. We were able to camp in some beautiful surroundings. The campground had a common kitchen and dining area, complete with bathrooms and showers, and only cost us 5,000 Chilean pesos, or about $6.50 a piece for the night. We were able to have a good meal and a restful night to finish off January 20th after some pretty adventurous riding that covered a total of 288 miles and spanned 3 episodes of this series. We woke up refreshed the next morning, January 21st, and had some breakfast. Our intention was to take Route 7 south to catch one more ferry ride from Puerto Ibáñez to Chile Chico and then cross into Argentina. However, we were told at the ticket office in Coyhaique that the ferry was actually packed for days in advance, so we had to reroute our trip slightly. Since we now had some extra time, we wandered around town a bit. Side note, I found this tangle of power lines quite amusing. Anyway, I tracked down a local library where I was able to dump the contents of my SD cards onto an external hard drive to free up space for more footage. The staff was really nice and helpful, so that all went pretty smoothly. And once the data dump was complete, we were ready to hit the road again. We headed south out of Coyhaique via Route 7 as originally planned, but then we veered east onto Route 245 toward the town of Balmaceda, where we would cross the Argentine border sooner than planned at Paso Huemules. Our goal was to get to the town of Perito Moreno in the province of Santa Cruz, Argentina by the end of the day, which was a pretty feasible 160 miles for the day, despite our late start. We made it to the border crossing and found the whole setup to be very well structured and organized. There was a small hiccup with our vehicle insurance, but that was easily resolved. All of the agents on both the Chilean and the Argentine side were very pleasant and enjoyable to talk to. All told, the whole process only took around an hour and 15 minutes, and then we were on our way. Ready? The road turned to gravel just as we crossed the border. In fact, this stretch of Route 260 from the border crossing at Paso Huemules all the way to the junction with Route 40, which is the main highway to head south in this part of Argentina, ended up being around 65 miles of straight gravel, a trek that took us a full 3 hours to navigate. Once we finally hit Route 40, it was just another 60 miles south to Perito Moreno. This stretch was mostly smooth sailing, but the landscape in this area is pretty desolate, so there's not much to see. We did notice that there were more potholes than we had encountered in Chile, and that it was very windy, but this particular section of road wasn't too bad, so we were able to move pretty quickly to our destination for the day. We arrived at Perito Moreno toward the end of the day and stopped at this gas station / bus terminal to get some food and ask about camping in the area. The cashier directed us to a campsite that ended up only costing us 90 Argentine pesos, or about $1.50 for the night. And that was the total, not the rate per person. It had bathrooms, showers, and a common kitchen and dining area. So we settled in, put up the tent, and wrapped up January 21st, having ridden 160 miles from Coyhaique, Chile, east across the border, and then south to Perito Moreno, Argentina. The next morning, January 22nd, we had some breakfast and headed out of Perito Moreno on Route 40, stopping briefly just south of town here. There was no particular goal in mind for the day other than to just make our way as far south as possible before nightfall. We started noticing what we thought were alpacas running around in this area. We later realized that they're actually guanacos, which you can see more clearly in this image. Neither one of us had heard of these things at the time, but they're endemic to Patagonia, especially Argentine Patagonia, as you can see in this map. They'll run up and cross the road a lot like deer in the Midwest United States, but the good thing is that it's much easier to see them coming because the area is so wide open and there are no forests or other vegetation to block your view. So that's good, but they are fearless, man. And it seemed as though the farther we went, the more abundant both the guanacos and the potholes became. At this point, we're still riding along Route 40. In this episode, we've covered around 387 miles over the course of 2 days from the split north of Coyhaique, Chile, to this area called Estancia La Lucha in Argentina. It's still January 22nd, and we've covered 187 miles on this particular day. There's riding yet to do before we call it a day here, but we'll cover that in the next episode. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. Once again, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Click up here to continue with the next episode of the Chile Ride series in English. Or, if you would like to practice your listening comprehension by rewatching this same episode in Spanish, solo haz clic aquí abajo para volver a ver este mismo episodio en español.